So, happy gas. They've been added to Minecraft. They're little goobery guys. I've managed to hold off on messing around with them in snapshots or even hopping into a single player world to try out messing with them because I wanted to save it for my forever world. I traversed the nether to gather a couple of goobers, plopped one down in my river so it could get to Gulpin. I don't, however, have anywhere for him to stay safe when I don't need help building, so it's time to make a ghast garage. I initially had this three-pronged idea where we'd have a garage on each layer. Things didn't quite go that way, but we ended up in the ballpark. The idea is to have a mix of organic mushroom shape with the more structural wood supports to hold everything together. Now to start, I gotta build a lump. And in order to do that, I need to clear out the area I want to build things. So you can tell this was my sniffer seed farm. It was a real quick and easy setup, but now it's time for it to go. So with that gone, we're going to start building a circle. It's a pretty straight, easy, simple one. Don't really need to look up anything for one that's this small, so just plopping that down and winging it. This is all made out of pale oak. I went in and splurged, so most of it is the kind where it's like it costs 4 to make the 3 and you can't see the sides. Can't remember what that's called, but you know what I'm talking about. And this ended up taking quite a lot of wood, both pale oak and pine. Probably 7 or 8 stacks of each, but I was pretty liberal with like just doing what I want to try to like build like I'm in creative in my survivor world. Don't like cheap out. Use the actual wood when I want to use it and don't feel like I need to always use planks to make it cheaper. And this late in the game, it's really not that hard to get that much wood. Like it took like 10 minutes, so it's not that crazy. It's just something in my soul is always like, oh, that's a lot. I had to take a little pause even just after making the dome because I realized that my goober is alive. I am kind of sad that I didn't get to see him come straight out of the water, but I've got to go grab a lead to make sure I can tie him up somewhere. Hopefully he didn't bail while I was grabbing that, so we'll go see if he's still in the same area. And there's my boy. He's just a little further away, so that's fine. He was pretty easy to find. He makes funky little sounds. I'm wondering what he'll sound like as an adult. And we will tie him up here. So it'll be kind of fun. We'll get to watch him through the time lapses, kind of bobbing around. And hopefully I'll catch the moment that he switches to an adult. I don't know if it's like a gradual thing. I know most animals it's not, but I really feel like it should be for them. And his name is gonna be Yogurt. Look at him. He looks like a yogurt. Okay, now that we've named Yogurt, let's go ahead and add a little bit more girth to this. I don't think the shape was quite what I was looking for, and that's a lot closer. Now we can build the stalk, the first one going up the middle. My idea here is I want a water tower, so we're gonna build just a straight line, but then to give it some, like, shape, we're just gonna build that on either side of it, so it'll give it a slant. So you'll see that in a second here. Want it a little bit taller. I don't want it to feel like super short and stumpy, especially because there is that short and stumpy one on the bone zone right next to it. So a little bit more height on this one. And if we hold on... Goober! Yeah, Yogurt's a big boy now. Look at him. Oh, look at his little harness. Oh, and he matches the place. He's gonna match his little home. Oh, it's so cute. It took me a second here to figure out, like, okay, the way it looks under you when you're in, like, first-person view, it just was not clicking in my head, so I kept trying to, like, turn to fix it. It was just his goggles, I think. They were just really disorienting for me at first, but we got there. We figured it out, and I thought this was a great excuse to, like, you know, let's go for it. Let's start using Yogurt to get this thing building, and it was actually, you know, it took a little bit of getting used to. I didn't quite have it here. I kept hitting shift like I was in creative to go down, and then I would end up standing, and then I would move, not reeling, then I, like, you know, I would just kind of like fall off of him and like, but I got better by the end, and I just had to keep trying. So, you know, we got there. Here's that water tower. I'm just gonna grab some materials, put the sand in there and a door, and there we go. Plop these up, just the classic process here. Bada bing, bada boom, and now we can start building out the platform. So really similar to the bottom, I'm just gonna make a big circle, kind of vibe it out. Like, the nice part about the mushroom top is it doesn't need to be a perfect circle, and it's actually better if it's not. So sometimes that can make it harder because you got to figure out what the right amount of perfect is. Before I commit to anything, I want to make sure yogurt actually fits into the space. So that's what we're doing here. And as you can see, it looks like he should fit, but I guess the game wanted some extra wiggle room. So 5 by 5, I guess, is the ghast space, not 4 by 4. I'm sure I could have just Googled that, but you know what? I thought I'd just try it out. So I'll really give it my best shot in case I just had terrible aim. And you know what? If you can fit them into a space that size, let me know, because I couldn't get it. So 5 by 5 in the end ended up working out pretty well. So just cleaning that up to get that shape in there so I can keep building out around that. That will kind of shift over. I decided to put it further to the right to kind of lean into the mushroom is leaning to the right with how I set up the, I mean, you kind of saw it, the chunk on the right side and the chunk on the left side when you're looking at it. I guess it's, I don't know, depends on which way you're looking at, but yeah, leaning towards the water there. And there we go, he fits just right in there. Gonna just leash him up for now because I'm not 100% sure how I want to actually build this part out. I know first things first, I'm gonna need wood. So on my other island, I have a beacon that gives me an extra buff. I actually have it set up to, it's like Kath's beacons that lets you have extra bonuses on them if you have extra nether stars thrown at them. So that's why if you watch my other episodes, I built a whole wither farm and have that set up. So now that I have that wood, I can start building this out. And it's time to get started on the supports. So that I know just kind of looks like a ring, but it's gonna emphasize the supports on like that skinny part of the mushroom to make sure it looks like it actually can hold all of this mass. And the goal here is I want it to look like kind of this hand-built wooden structure coming off of the mushroom that looks like it could really support this big squishy guy in there, and that it looks like, you know, sturdy. I don't want it to kind of just stick out because I could have just built a box and called it a day, but I want it to look like it could really exist there. So here's me testing it out to make sure that he fits and that he stays, and he does, which is great. So like we know that the functionality is there, and that's the most important part. And now we can make it look cute, which takes, you know, like 10 times as long as actually building the cage, but that's okay. So I decided this needs to be a bit bigger. It looked really small in the context of how big this garage has to be. It needed to be 5 by 5 instead of 4 by 4 is actually a pretty big difference. So it's pretty bulky, and I kind of made this build a little bit smaller in proportion to it than I intended to, but I still think it ends up looking pretty good. So it, I think, evens out the visuals of the wood to the mushroom a bit more anyway, so I was pretty happy with it. Just kind of figuring out what design I want. I have some room to play with on that front part, so I decided to do it a little bit lower so it's easier to get in. And these are just visual supports to make sure it looks like it could actually exist there. I'll probably hang some lights on these to make it look cute there. There's something that is really satisfying in my brain parking yogurt in there, and it's like, yeah, he's all safe and tucked away in there. I feel a little bit bad having him in such a small space, but it's like cozy, you know? We'll go if he likes being cozy. And I want to make sure he can fit through that. Technically he does, but you couldn't really see it much, but I do clip through the wall and take damage from that. So I'm going to make it a little bit taller, at least in the middle where I will be. So that should pretty much resolve it. I may, you know, if I do it a little bit off, I might get clipped sometimes, but sometimes it's better than all of the time. So that's fine. Gonna make the lip of the mushroom a little bit wider so that it can have, you know, that mushroom shape. And build it up. Like, I've gotten better at the mushroom shape. basically you want to have like the lip and then immediate up, like you want 2 or 3 up, and then slow it down again, so kind of like even it out. So you can see I've got like the lip, then 1, then 3 high, and then this is either 1 or 2 high. Yeah, just the 1, and you just kind of like slow it down there. I think for this one I ended up having like a dip in there and then tall again so that you get that lean in there for the cap. It took a lot of looking at it because I definitely didn't want to stop there. I wanted to have more height to it. So you can see I have basically lip 1, 3, 1, 3, and then you can kind of round out the top. And it's not a perfect science, you know, mushrooms are organic shapes, and you can have different kinds of mushrooms too. This is obviously a tall one, and there's a number of flat ones around the island too, but you know, for winging it, I think I'm good with that. It does the job. And we're gonna plop our lights down so that it glows and matches the other mushrooms. So getting these suckers everywhere. Luckily, I had enough of all of this from my prismarine farm still, so I didn't have to wait at it, but I will probably want to wait at it a little bit after I finish this project so that I don't get caught off guard when I'm ready to build for the next one. It goes pretty quick building with this stuff. Alright, let's take yogurt out for a spin. And it looks like everything still works. Okay, just wanted to make sure that having built everything out, I don't want to run into any technical issues really late in the game. Let's add some light to this interior. Everything looks a bit lighter for you guys because I did turn on night vision for the recording, but it's pretty dark in here and I don't want to live in darkness, so we're gonna plop some lights down. Really go ham with the lanterns. That's basically my motto at this point. And hold that in leaves, but put some more there. I'm thinking windows. We're gonna add this trim under the bottom there, and yeah, windows will help brighten up the space, let you feel the day-night cycle a little bit more, make it feel less like a dungeon. And now it's time to dig out all of the dirt that I put down. So just gonna swap it for regular pine. You know, it just fits the build. It's what I've been working with, so it'll look nice. It's the coziest one, so it makes sense. Put all of that down. That looks nice already. And let's put windows in here, kind of the same thing, just to brighten it up. I'll come back and do more of the actual interior decorating at the end, but for right now, I just want it to be kind of functional. The goal is to kind of get it to look like a space that you could move into instead of a space that is fully under construction, you know? And let's add lights all the way around. I don't know if they're really necessary since it's got all the lights on top, but they're cute, you know? Especially when you can have them spaced out like that. It kind of makes them look like fairy lights, so I like that. And adding some details. Want to add a little bit of depth and texture with some extra trapdoors. You know, is it really a build if you don't cover it in pine trapdoors? I don't think so. Or spruce. You know, if I say pine, you know I mean spruce, so it's fine. They're roughly the same thing, right? Someone's gonna correct me, but that's okay. Put some lights here, kind of decorate that up. And I kept seeing his little feet wiggling there, and I just, let's free the piggies. They gotta come out. With the main structure built, I want to start on the other mushroom sprouts now. So this one on the side, I'm thinking I'm just gonna go with 2 garages because 3 is just gonna feel too cluttered, I think, with how much space things ended up taking. So we're gonna put this one here, and it's gonna be, I think, a slightly different, like I'm kind of thinking the one that we just built, that's the primo package. That's if you want to pay the big bucks so that your little guy is in a nice space and you can kind of lounge with them. You want to have people come over to admire your yogurt. And this is for if you want something a little bit more functional. You can still hang out. It's still nice, but it's not as nice, you know? So this is a little bit smaller, but it still gets the job done. And I want to incorporate that like spiral staircase thing I had in my drawing. If you could tell, that was not just hair coming off the mushrooms, that was a spiral staircase. And this, I think, looks really cute, so it was worth it. And it's a different function, but it also gives people that don't have elytra, if they're visiting my server, then they can actually climb this one. The other one has no way to get down without an elytra, or I guess you could, you know, water bucket it, or I mean, if you're taking your ghast out, then you're fine, but if you go up there just to visit, you're kind of trapped. So this one, you're not trapped, so that's a perk. And I ended up letting Yogurt just fly away, so I did look it up, and they stay pretty close. It was like something like 32 blocks away from where you like hopped off them, and that's really not too bad. I feel a little weird about having the supports for this one like touch my other build, but I don't know, we'll just pretend it's on purpose and that it makes them look like they all are, you know, one and they go together and that kind of stuff. I do need to add more mushrooms to that. The build right next to it is my reed and bamboo farm, just to like get some bulk of those. And I've been meaning to add mushrooms to that for a while now, and I have not. So we'll see. I don't know. I added the bone zone, technically. It is part of it, but like, you know, it's also its own thing, so. Yogurt has been helpful, not integral, but definitely helpful to building this. And I do have some other builds around my island that I have left parts of them pretty blank or undecorated because it's such a pain to decorate like giant flat side walls without having something like this. So I am excited to fix those up with Yogurt later. And I learned my lesson. We're gonna leave the piggies free, make sure that Yogurt fits in here. And I think that's looking good. And of course, smatter it with lanterns. And now for the trapdoors. Yes, to give, what do we call it? Depth. Woo! Stick some fences down to make it look like it can actually stand up on its own. And we're gonna build another one over here. This one is just going to be visual though. I don't think that it would look very good to have it be a whole nother garage. I think it would be a little bit too much. And especially with how low I want this one, it would be like, I feel like for the ghast garage, it needs to be like high up. Otherwise it's like, I don't know, it's basically on the floor. Like I could just put it on a lead. So yeah, this one's just gonna be, maybe it's growing into a new garage someday, but this is what it's gonna be for now. And I forgot to add lights on this one, so came back, put those little guys in there, add a little bit of texture too to make it not look as flat. And in my head, I want this to kind of look like a poofy, rolled out kind of lip on the edge, and it's just not quite communicating, but it's a little bit better. And I changed my mind on those little tops on these. I want them to have more, I want to loop more of the pine in around these, and it, you know, it just makes them look a little bit cuter, a little warmer, a little cozier, so put those in. Okay, and I think we've got the main build done. Next, we just need to add some of those internal details and decorate some of the outside. I tried it out first, and I think I want to swap these. There's a lot of brown, like a lot of brown. And I want it to look like big chains, I think, now that I've got a better idea of what I'm doing. So the thought with those deep slate circles there is like a big chain around the center of that to keep it standing. Okay, it's feeling good. We're gonna do some of the interior work now. So in here, I wanna have it look like a little help desk. So I've got all these bookshelves because I ended up getting a couple librarians and a lot of trading going on. So put a light there, a little sign that says help desk, and you know, there you go. That's where you would rent out your Ghast garage so that you could, you know, you gotta tell them how long you want it for. It's kind of like a little hotel, you know. So adding some details on this sign here. I am a little sad you can't see me typing, but that's okay. You didn't need to watch me write the word wrong 6 times. Over here, I want to add a little water feature, and I really stupidly put the water too far forward and it just spilled everywhere and made a huge mess. So fixed that after I messed that up. Yep, there it is. I don't know why I thought that would work. So dug one further back, put that water in, and it's just a little visual there. Gonna build this out a little bit so the walkway doesn't feel so cramped. Really, no one's gonna ever go back here, but I need something so that it's not just empty, and it helps the build feel a little bit more complete. Kind of flatten this out so that it feels like a little alleyway that you might walk through. Like that's, I feel like where the employees would go, and really this whole back area would be like a nice employee break area. Have a little view of the water, maybe put a bench down and some trees. We'll get to that, but I'm putting some more of the cherry trees around this area. I want to move that one a little further up, just to kind of make it more cohesive with the rest of the island. There's this, I want the vaporwave kind of teal pink colors, so making sure that matches. And this is the deluxe suite, so we're gonna put a little bench and then like kind of like a party table for if you have a bunch of people to come and hang out with your goober, and it's looking cute. I want to put some carpets down, so, and some, I gotta add the pink in here. Like, I want regular leaves, but I've told myself that's not what we're doing on this build because I want to do it on all of my builds, and I, you know, too much leaf. So we're doing cherry blossoms, and I'm not using regular leaves. So if you're wondering why I'm not doing that, I told myself I can't. So I'm gonna grab my banners and some carpets. I did on the drawing have some banners. I don't know if you could tell that's what that was. Those were banners, not like teeth or something. And I want those to hang off the front so they'll look cute, kind of flapping in the wind. And grabbing wool since I have a bunch over here to do the carpets on the floors in there. Just crafted a couple of those. It's kind of like the island banner right there. And because I really want the carpet to be underneath the actual tables, but that's not how it works in Minecraft. So instead I'm kind of going like the opposite. So like the wood is going to look like the carpets and the rest is not. Like I want the wood to look like rugs, you know, this is the carpet and those are rugs. And I think it kind of worked. It's not perfect, but I think it helps with like the feng shui, you know, the zoning of the room. And kind of similar over here, it's not got as much going on, so we're just gonna do a little square in the middle. That one was pretty easy. And time to just kind of slap some cherry blossoms all over it. Give it a little bit of that nature on it. It's got a lot of the pine too, so it's already got warmth and nature colors on it, but you know, it's crucial to add squiggly little leaves on it. And there's the employee smoke break bench. I grabbed a bunch of flowers that I've used on the island, mostly the pink ones and the little cherry blossom ones, and just smatter this sucker, cover it in flowers, put them here, put them there, put them everywhere, write a whole Dr. Seuss book about it. Now I need to put the banners out. This is the perfect reason to use a ghast. Like this is exactly what they're meant for. So that was lovely, not having to tower up for both of those. That was so much faster. 10 out of 10, love it. And with that, we've done it. Our ghast garage is currently in business. If you have any ideas on other things that I should build for Yogurt or what I should name his coming friends and family, let me know in the comments. I really hope you enjoyed getting to hang out, and I'll see you next time.